Hello, everyone. Vicki Achard here with Nature's Best Art. Thank you for joining me today. Well, here's my painting that I started. I already drew it. I sketched it, and I'll give you the background of how I did that. Remember, last week I painted one like this, only with grapes, and I used this bowl from I was at my son's home, and when I went to draw it on my sketch paper here, I put it on there and I traced it. Actually, I used my light box to get all these winding lines in here just right. And guess what? I thought, oh my, I don't have my cherries in there, and I should have done that because I really didn't have to do this. So what I did is I put it on here on my watercolor paper, and I used my graphite paper to do all my tracing. And I'll talk about my lace in a minute, but this is going to be lace here. It's going to be really pretty. And but I did not put my lines because I knew I had to get my cherries in there. But I didn't want to put my cherries, I didn't want to draw my cherries directly on my watercolor paper. So I took a photocopy of this, and I'm using this as my guide for my cherries. And I didn't want to put, these are all highlights here. I don't know if you can see this real well. See all these little marks here? That's where I want to put the highlights. Because when I used my bowl of cherries, and I'll talk about this in a minute, when I was in my kitchen, I was drawing it in my kitchen, I saw all these highlights. You see all the highlights on the cherries? Isn't that cool? And so I put them on here instead of my right directly on here, because I didn't want to get them dark. I didn't want to get the lines dark. So what I'm doing is I'm looking at my cherries on the photocopy, on my drawing rather, of the cherries, and then I'm trying to remember to put my highlights in. The first couple times I forgot, but I'm going to go back and put those in white, which will be fine. And if you notice, I'm kind of skipping around. That's what I don't want to get the color in the other cherries until I'm ready to paint those. Okay. Now the reason, of course, I'm using this bowl instead of this bowl is because I'm not at my son's house anymore. He lives in Indiana. So, but these are really pretty bowls. Go back and look at my first drawing and composition of the grapes, and I'll show you one of the bowls was I painted was blue, and it was really pretty bowl. And they have these bowls in different colors, so that's what I'm going to try to replicate that. And so I had to use this was the nearest bowl that I had that kind of was shaped like that, so I could put all my cherries in, so I could get, my drawing drawing in there. So and 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 that's my subject right there that I wanted to draw from. So now I wanted to talk a little bit too about so anyway, I'll talk about colors later, but this lace that I have, I'll show you that. This was been in the family for years. This is a real pretty lace that we put on some tables sometimes. And I didn't want to do it completely exactly this way, because I think it would be too fussy for me to paint something like that. So I looked at that and I kind of made up my own little design there. And the important thing is, though, when you do lace, and we're not going to get to lace. I'm just going to show you a couple of cherries, like I did last week. I showed you a couple of grapes. But when you do this lace, I want to show you. I did one with lace already. It's this painting here, and we turn our paintings into my 5x7 greeting cards. So what you do here is, okay, so the table is brown, and then you go in these little marks here, in the holes, and it'll turn out, looks like lace to paint, to do your painting. You leave all this white, and then the gray, I don't know if you can see that. The gray is like the stitching. So that's what I'm basically going to do with this. All these little marks here, I'm going to go in and make them the color of my my table, which is going to be probably a same kind of table as I did last week, the dark brown and the some Payne's gray in there, and then I'll put shadows in here, and then make those little holes the same kind of look as this, and then you'll see that, which is not what's nice when you do your watercolor, you just leave this white. All I can leave all that white, and it'll look like you know, basically this doily. This is kind of off white, but I'm gonna leave mine white. I think it'd be pretty white. The wall. This is gonna be like a wall. I'm gonna paint that probably a little bit the same color as that other bowl that I painted last week. This would be kind of blue, maybe a phthalo blue probably. This I'm gonna make a hooker's green. I'll show you you know, my colors here. That's probably going to be the, I thought the green would look good against the cherries. And then the stems are going to be the sap green and permanent alizarin crimson, which makes a really pretty brown. And then sap green on the stems. And so the cherries I'm making permanent alizarin crimson. I'm putting a lot of water in the ones that I want to keep light, and basically the darker ones I'm gonna, you know, put maybe a cerulean blue in the darker color ones. So I'm using just permanent alizarin crimson and permanent alizarin crimson, and I'm putting a little cerulean blue in the dark part of the cherry. So there we go. So I wanted to tell you all that before we get started. And so let's, I'm using a number 6 brush because my number 4 doesn't come to a good point. And so what I want to do now, I'm going to turn this down a little bit. Where you can see this a little better, closer. And I want to remember to look at my cherries here because that'll show me where the highlights should be. Now, I wanted to go back though and do this one. And I think, well, maybe I'll start out with my number 2 since I'm going to start out with that one. I forgot. Okay, so this cherry here, if you notice, like some of these cherries, they have like a little dip in them, like a dip. And then they have like a little top that's a little wider. So in order for me to accomplish that, I'm going to be pronouncing that a little bit more, that line there. So let's get started with that one. All right, let me spritz this a bit. My permanent alizarin crimson, and my cerulean blue have been sitting for a while. I'm going to start this, let's see, with maybe the darker color to get that pronounced a bit on the top. Okay, I'm going to go in a little darker here around here, and a little water to bring it around here some. Okay, I'm going to leave that there like that. Then this one, I thought this one needed some more paint on it. Let's see, so I'm going to be painting this with a lighter color. I want to keep this one, I want some light. If you notice my cherries here, some are light and some are darker. This one needed a little bit more paint here, another glaze. This is my number 6. Like I said, my number 4 doesn't come to a good point. So I'm using this. Okay. Now I noticed on this cherry here, I didn't leave a highlight there. That's when I first started, and I forgot to start leaving my highlights. And so I'm going to go in with the white, with white paint there. I think that'd be fine. This one needs a little bit of work here. Let's see, let's get that dip in there a little bit. Okay. I'm going to just paint this a little bit before we put that dip though, I think. Needs a little bit more color like that other one did. Another glaze. Trying to get this, I don't want any water on my ferrule, because dripping on my white lace wouldn't be a good idea, especially with permanent alizarin crimson. It's a very strong color. It's beautiful color. I love this permanent alizarin crimson. I really, really love it. Okay, I'm going to make sure I leave that highlight there. I'm going to leave this alone for a little bit. I'm going to maybe put another glaze on that. Just right there. I'm going to put make sure that it gets a little darker there. But let's go to, let's see. This one looks better now. The top part of this one. Have I been putting that up there? I'm sorry if I have. Let's see, we put another glaze there, more glaze there, and we pronounced that a little bit. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna pronounce that a little bit more, since it's looks a little, it's probably drier. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna really want to make it pronounced there. Okay. And let's see. Okay, so I think that's all. We're going to leave this dry a little bit, this one here. And I'm going to go on to, I have one way down under here that needs some paint. And I'm going to make that pretty dark, because the ones that are down underneath some of these are darker. They appear darker. So I don't know if I even want to highlight on this one. Let me see if I did. Yeah, I did have a highlight. All right, so I will leave a highlight here. Okay. And the highlights look a little strange when you first start, but then when the painting is finished, I know it'll look really, really good leaving a highlight. Because if you just had them all painted, it just wouldn't look right. Yeah, I'm going to leave this one now. That looks good there. Actually, I like that color there. Could leave that. This is my dark one here. I think I'm going to leave that color. I like that, the way it turned out. Against the light against the dark. Okay, now let's go to this cherry here. All right, so I'm going to paint this part here light. Compared to the rest of the cherry. I'm going to try to make a indent there too. I'm adding some water to make that lighter. Then I'm going to go and make it dark. I'm going to try to remember to leave my highlight, which is this part here. See, right in here. Okay. I got that quite light there. Because I think I need to add more paint. So let's get more paint. Permanent alizarin crimson. Okay, look how bright. Can you see that from here? I don't know if you can see that. Okay. And then my cerulean blue. Here's a permanent, look at that. Isn't that pretty? I love that. And then to get it darker, I'm going to add cerulean blue. I want a nice clean brush. I better squirt my cerulean blue and make sure I get that, which is right this one here, way over here. Okay. Look at it, it gets it really nice and dark. Yeah, see how dark that got that? Really nice and dark now. All right. So I'm going to leave that on there, and I put it until it dries. I'm going to work with this one a little bit. Let's get that dark. Kind of look of behind the cherry here, or where the kind of like where the pit would be, or not the pit, the stem. The pit's inside. Okay, that's good. Now I'm gonna see if I can. Oh boy, that's my bigger brush. I want my number 6. Now I'm gonna make this darker here. That's looking better. Some of them were kind of, off the rim. Okay, that went around nice, around that stem. And the parts that are like between the cherries is going to be, the color of the bowl, which will be green, which is going to be very, very pretty, I think. So there we go. Make that a little darker here. Okay, so where we're at, this one here needs to be dark also. Right around the stem. I want to leave my highlight there. Okay, that's my number 2 brush. Then I'm going to take my bigger number 6. I'm going to give this a little bit more color here. Spread that out with my water. Some of these I gave, like 3 glazes, depending on how I wanted the look of things. If it was near a darker cherry, I tend to leave them a little lighter, because some of the cherries are lighter. Okay, there we go. And I'll define this a little bit more when it dries. Okay, so basically that's how I'm gonna, move around all the cherries. This one I think I'm gonna actually get a little darker too around here. Why don't we do that now? Let's see how that would look. A little darker. I think I want this one. Some of cherries are really dark. I'm going to spread this a little bit around here. Not get my highlights. And you know, if I do get my highlights when I'm doing this, when I'm painting, I can just take my white paint later. There we go. Spread this a little bit more. Can you see that? There. I'm basically going around the highlights. Like I say, if I get into the highlights and take my white paint. Now this is going to dry a little lighter, so be fine. And if I go over a cherry onto the other cherry, that's okay. That's no problem, okay? Oh, I like that cherry. So that's basically what I'm going to be doing. And so I don't know how much I'll get done of the painting. I got, you know, Father's Day is coming up this Sunday, so we're going to have some company, and I'm going to be uh, getting ready for that. So I don't know. You know, you may see me. Well, I'm hoping to get, you know, these little marks in here all taken care of, and the table maybe. And so maybe you'll see me paint the bowl. And I think I'm going to leave, usually I get the background, you know, the wall done first. Now, I just want to mention too, now this has the bowl going through it, but all I did was I took my kneaded eraser and I got some of these lines out a bit, but some of them didn't come out, which is fine because like this one, if you see this one, did I go like that again? I'm so sorry. If I find that I'm going too much like this, I might start this video. Anyway, so like I say, these lines I got out a little bit, but I can actually see, like this one had a line through, and this one looks good too, doesn't it? Or maybe I'll go like that. Like that there. I made this, you know, with the look of the cherry on top, which I liked a lot. So that's not going to give me any problem at all. So, okay. All right. Well, thank you for joining me today. And I can't wait to show you next week what I got done. Okay. We'll continue next week. Uh, so, all right. Well, you have a wonderful Father's Day coming up. All right. Bye for now.